In a world of evolving scams and digital threats, knowledge is your strongest defense. Welcome to Michael Cyber Shield. Stay informed, stay protected, stay one step ahead.
Imagine answering your phone on what feels like a completely ordinary afternoon. You hear a familiar voice on the other end. It's your son, or maybe your granddaughter. The voice is shaking. They're crying. They tell you they've been in a terrible accident. They need money immediately. They beg you not to tell anyone because they're embarrassed or afraid. Every instinct as a parent or grandparent tells you to help. Your heart starts racing. Your hands begin to shake. You don't stop to question whether the voice is real because you've heard that voice your entire life. You know it better than anyone. At least, you think you do. But what if I told you that the person speaking isn't your loved one at all? What if I told you that the voice was created by artificial intelligence in just a few seconds? And what if I told you that scams like this are becoming more common every single day? If you care about protecting your money, your family, your identity, and your peace of mind, subscribe right now. This channel exists to help people stay informed before these threats become expensive mistakes. The technology behind these scams is advancing faster than most people realize. Just a few years ago, criminals had to rely on poor imitations or obvious lies. Today, they can create a voice that sounds almost identical to someone you love. The frightening part isn't that the technology exists. The frightening part is how easy it has become to access. Criminals no longer need expensive equipment or advanced technical knowledge. Many of the tools they use are available online. Some are marketed for legitimate purposes like voiceovers, accessibility, or content creation. Unfortunately, scammers have learned how to misuse those same tools. That's why experts are warning people across the United States, the United Kingdom, Europe, Australia, and many other countries to prepare for a new generation of fraud powered by artificial intelligence. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening right now. You may be wondering how someone could possibly copy your child's voice or your spouse's voice. The answer is surprisingly simple. Think about how much of our lives are shared online. Birthday videos on social media, family gatherings uploaded to Facebook, TikTok clips, Instagram stories, YouTube videos. Even short voice messages sent through messaging apps can contain enough audio for artificial intelligence to create a convincing voice clone. Sometimes criminals only need a few seconds of clear audio. That's all it takes for advanced AI software to study the tone, pronunciation, rhythm, and speaking style of a person's voice. Once that voice model has been created, the criminal can type almost anything into a computer, and the software will speak it using a voice that sounds incredibly real. Imagine hearing your grandson say, "Grandpa, please don't tell Mom. I was driving and I hit another car. The police are here. I need money for a lawyer." Imagine hearing your daughter crying and saying, "Dad, my phone was stolen. I need you to send money right away." Most people don't stop to analyze the sound of the voice because emotions take over long before logic has a chance to respond. That's exactly what scammers are counting on. They understand something about human psychology that many people overlook. Fear changes the way we make decisions. When we believe someone we love is in danger, our brain shifts into emergency mode. We stop asking questions. We stop looking for warning signs. We focus on solving the problem as quickly as possible. Criminals know this. That's why they create situations that demand immediate action. They don't give you time to think. They don't want you calling another family member. They don't want you hanging up and verifying the story. Instead, they create urgency. They tell you that every second matters. They may claim someone has been arrested. They may claim someone is in the hospital. They may say a lawyer needs payment immediately. They may even pretend to be a police officer, doctor, or attorney before handing the phone to the fake family member. Every detail is carefully planned to keep you emotionally engaged. By the time you realize something feels unusual, the money may already be gone. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is believing that only older adults fall for scams like these. The truth is much different. AI voice clone scams have affected professionals, business owners, teachers, healthcare workers, retirees, and even people who work in technology. Intelligence isn't the deciding factor. Emotion is. Anyone who deeply cares about family can become vulnerable under the right circumstances. Criminals don't target people because they're unintelligent. They target people because they're compassionate. That's an important difference. The love you have for your family becomes the very thing scammers attempt to exploit. That's why awareness is your strongest defense. Once you understand how these scams operate, you're much more likely to recognize the warning signs before making a costly decision. And that's exactly why we're having this conversation today. Now, here's something that makes these scams even more dangerous. The criminals often know more about you than you realize. Before they ever make the phone call, they may spend days or even weeks gathering information from social media, public records, data breaches, and online profiles. They learn the names of your children. They learn where you live. They learn where your family goes to school, where they work, and even the names of your pets. They don't need every detail. They only need enough information to make the story believable. Imagine receiving a call that begins with, "Hi, Grandma, it's Ethan." The scammer already knows your grandson's name. Then they mention the city where he lives or the university he attends. Suddenly, the situation feels real. Your brain starts filling in the missing pieces because the information matches what you already know. This psychological effect is called confirmation bias. When part of a story is true, people naturally assume the rest must also be true. Criminals understand this extremely well. They use real information to support fake emergencies. And because artificial intelligence can now reproduce familiar voices, the deception becomes even more convincing. That's why experts recommend treating unexpected emergency calls with caution, no matter how convincing they sound. One simple habit can make an enormous difference. Before sending money or sharing personal information, end the call and contact your family member using a phone number you already know is genuine. Don't call the number that contacted you. Don't reply to a text message that arrived during the call. Use a trusted phone number that you've saved previously. That one decision could save thousands of dollars and prevent months of emotional stress. Another tactic criminals frequently use is keeping victims on the phone. They don't want you thinking clearly. They don't want you speaking with anyone else. They may tell you that the situation is confidential. They may claim lawyers are involved. They may say the police have instructed everyone to remain silent until the investigation is complete. They create reasons why you shouldn't verify the story. In reality, those instructions are designed to isolate you. Isolation is one of the strongest weapons scammers have. When people are separated from trusted family members, friends, or financial advisors, they're far more likely to make emotional decisions. That's exactly what criminals want. You may also notice something interesting about these scams. The caller rarely demands an enormous amount of money immediately. Instead, they often ask for an amount that seems just believable enough. Perhaps a few $1,000s for bail, maybe money for medical treatment, maybe funds to repair a damaged vehicle. The amount is carefully chosen. It's large enough to be valuable to the scammer, but small enough that many victims believe they can solve the emergency without asking too many questions. And once the first payment is made, the requests usually don't stop. Suddenly, there are legal fees, hospital expenses, court costs, insurance deductibles. Every new excuse creates another opportunity to steal more money. Some victims have lost their entire retirement savings because they believed they were protecting someone they loved. One particularly disturbing trend involves criminals combining several scams together. A victim may first receive a fake text message claiming unusual activity has been detected on a bank account. Minutes later, a phone call arrives from someone claiming to be the bank's fraud department. During that conversation, another call interrupts the first one. This time, it's the cloned voice of a family member asking for help. Everything appears connected. Every piece of the story reinforces the others. The victim begins believing multiple independent events are happening at once when, in reality, they're all controlled by the same criminal organization. Modern scammers think like professional marketers. They build believable stories. They anticipate your questions. They prepare convincing answers. They understand that trust isn't created in one sentence. It's built gradually, one believable detail at a time. This is why even cautious people can become victims. The scam isn't based on intelligence. It's based on emotional pressure, careful planning, and sophisticated technology. The good news is that awareness changes everything. Once you know these tactics exist, you'll recognize the warning signs much faster. Instead of reacting emotionally, you'll begin asking important questions. Can I independently verify this emergency? Why is someone pressuring me to act immediately? Why am I being told not to contact other family members? Why is payment being requested through unusual methods? These simple questions interrupt the scammer's plan. They replace panic with critical thinking. And that single shift, from emotion to verification, can be the difference between protecting your savings and becoming another victim. But there's another development that experts find especially concerning. Artificial intelligence is no longer limited to cloning voices. Criminals are beginning to combine voice cloning with deepfake video, fake caller identification, stolen personal information, and hacked online accounts to create scams that feel almost impossible to question. Imagine receiving a video call that appears to show your daughter sitting in a police station. She looks frightened. She speaks using her own voice. She tells you she's in trouble and needs money immediately. Everything looks real. Everything sounds real. But none of it is. The entire scene has been generated or manipulated using artificial intelligence. While this type of attack is still less common than voice-only scams, cybersecurity experts believe it will become increasingly common as AI technology continues to improve. That's why it's so important to build habits today that will protect you tomorrow. One of the most effective habits is creating a family verification plan before an emergency ever happens. It can be something as simple as agreeing on a secret family phrase that only close relatives know. If someone ever calls asking for emergency money, ask them to repeat that phrase. A scammer won't know it. Another powerful habit is agreeing that no one in the family will ever ask for money over the phone without first confirming their identity through another trusted family member. These simple agreements can stop even the most convincing scam. It's also important to understand that criminals don't always ask for bank transfers anymore. They constantly change their payment methods to avoid detection. They may request cryptocurrency because it's difficult to trace. They may ask for gift cards because the codes can be redeemed instantly. They may ask you to use a money transfer service. Some even convince victims to withdraw cash and hand it to someone posing as a courier. Every scam is different, but the goal remains exactly the same: separate you from your money before you have time to think. If anyone unexpectedly tells you to pay using cryptocurrency, gift cards, wire transfers, or cash pickups, that should immediately raise serious concerns. Legitimate organizations rarely request payment using these methods for emergencies. Another mistake people often make is assuming that scammers only target wealthy individuals. That's simply not true. Criminals look for opportunity, not necessarily wealth. Someone living on a modest retirement income can become just as valuable because scammers know those savings represent decades of hard work. To them, every victim is a financial opportunity. They don't see families. They don't see retirement dreams. They see potential profit. That's why education matters so much. Every conversation you have with your spouse, your children, your parents, or your grandparents about AI scams makes your entire family safer. Awareness spreads protection. A 5-minute discussion today could prevent a devastating loss months from now. And remember, if someone truly needs emergency help, they'll still need help after you've taken a few minutes to verify the situation. Genuine emergencies don't become less real because you chose to confirm the facts. Scammers, however, depend on preventing verification. That's the biggest difference between legitimate emergencies and fake ones. Real people understand caution. criminals fear it. So what should you do if you ever receive a call that feels suspicious? First, stay calm. Fear is exactly what the scammer wants. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that every urgent claim can be verified independently. Second, never send money while you're still on the phone with an unexpected caller. Hang up first. Then, contact your family member directly using a phone number you've saved previously. If you can't reach them, contact another trusted relative or close friend. Third, never share one-time verification codes, passwords, banking credentials, or personal information with someone who contacted you unexpectedly, even if they sound exactly like someone you know. Fourth, monitor your financial accounts regularly. The sooner suspicious activity is discovered, the greater the chance of limiting financial damage. Fifth, report suspected scams to your financial institution and the appropriate authorities as quickly as possible. Reporting not only protects you but may also help prevent future victims from experiencing the same loss. It's also worth remembering that many victims never report these crimes because they feel embarrassed. They blame themselves. They worry about what others will think. But being targeted by an AI-powered scam doesn't mean you're careless. It means criminals used advanced technology designed to manipulate normal human emotions. There is no shame in becoming a victim. The only mistake would be staying silent and allowing others to remain unaware of the danger. Every report helps investigators identify new tactics. Every shared experience helps another family recognize warning signs before it's too late. That's how communities become stronger against fraud. Technology will continue changing. Artificial intelligence will become even more realistic. Voices will sound more natural. Videos will become more convincing. But one thing technology cannot replace is careful judgment. No computer can force you to send money. No artificial voice can stop you from verifying the facts. Your greatest protection isn't a new app or expensive software. It's your willingness to pause, think, and verify before taking action. That's a habit every family can develop starting today. Imagine how many scams could fail if every person simply ended unexpected emergency calls and independently confirmed the story before sending money. Millions of dollars could remain in the hands of honest families instead of organized criminals. That's the power of awareness. That's why channels like this exist. Not to create fear, but to replace fear with knowledge. Because informed people make better decisions. They recognize warning signs. They protect their loved ones. They refuse to become easy targets. If this video helped you understand how AI voice clone scams really work, don't keep that knowledge to yourself. Share this video with your parents, your grandparents, your children, your friends, and anyone who could one day receive one of these frightening calls. A single conversation could save someone's retirement savings, protect their identity, or prevent years of financial hardship. I'd also like to hear from you. Have you ever received a suspicious call that sounded unusually convincing? Have you experienced an AI scam or a phone scam targeting your family? Share your experience in the comments because your story could help someone else recognize a warning sign before it's too late. And if you haven't already subscribed, now is the perfect time. New scams appear every month, and cybercriminals are constantly adapting their tactics. Here on Michael Cyber Shield, our goal is simple: to help you stay informed, stay prepared, and stay one step ahead of the people trying to steal your money, your identity, and your peace of mind. Thank you for watching. Stay alert, stay cautious, protect the people you love, and I'll see you in the next video.